Hello everyone and welcome to episode 51 of Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes, SoundCloud, and topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Catch updates about the podcast or for other news, give us a follow on your social media platform of choice, listed in the description below. I'm your host, GM, and overseer of Podcast of Five Rings, Obsidian, joined tonight by the wall that will not fall, Tetsuo.
Hello.
His mic is working now.
Sure.
Yours should be the mic that will fail. That should be your actual nickname, intro name, tag, quote, whatever those things are called that we have. We are joined once again tonight by the Dark Fortune Duelist Meta.
Hi, it's been a while.
Who is it has been a while. Who's going tonight to see Infinity War? So guess what we're not talking about tonight? Infinity War. We're talking about tomorrow, and it's going to be on the show on this episode. So we're going to splice together two recordings. I've already seen it twice.
Seriously?
Yeah, I have.
Jesus.
Well, my buddy. Well, if you were here last week, you would have understood why, Meta. But no. Well, my buddy bought tickets for Sunday morning, and then I was a weak boy and caved in and wanted to see it Thursday night because I couldn't avoid the internet for 2 days. So I went and saw it late Thursday night.
Well, since we're talking about the story of how we went to see it, I bought tickets. Well, I went to see it Saturday morning, and I got there with my roommate, and we realized went into the scan because it was on my phone, and went to scan it or whatever to let us in. And they're like, "These were for yesterday," and so that sucked. But people at the front desk let us in anyway.
Oh, sweet. Well, there you go.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, you're just too busy doing your real life stuff, like planning a wedding.
It was just
and
too
stuff. Meta.
Yeah.
You asshole.
Hey, it's not my fault that
you proposed to your girlfriend.
Yeah, she said yes. I didn't think she would, but she did it.
She called his bluff.
She called my bluff.
Yep.
So now here we are, and I can't back out.
And I got the card. It is very cute. I got it today.
It is very cute.
Yeah,
the Final Fantasy sprites.
She's very happy with that. I can't back out now because now it's a power play, and we have to see who's really gonna commit.
Yeah,
can't get off Mr. Toad's Wild Red.
And we got the wild card, the resident one, in fact, Mao.
Yo.
So, I guess in light news, because we're not going to talk about this topic-wise, did you guys see that? They're releasing like a beginner's version of the FFG RPG.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they say when it's going to come out?
Quarter 3.
Quarter 3 is all it says.
I assume Gen Con.
Yeah, that's probably what it means. I never know if August is quarter 2 or quarter 3. It's like right there because it's the 8th month.
Right.
So yeah, that's happening. I wonder what's different because I haven't followed any of the beta stuff. Like post what we played many months ago.
Honestly, I haven't followed much of the beta stuff either.
No idea what they changed since then either.
I think the last stuff I read was the Manus Clan stuff.
I'm gonna just stick with what I said so far. I do like the fact that it's not as swingy, even with the explosion system. But I really wish it wasn't all these die with all these different special sides and different combinations of things.
Well, that makes you a jerk, man.
It does.
I'm a jerk right there with you, buddy.
So, thank God, I thought I was alone.
You and me drinking the jerk Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And we got a video game Hall of Fame that I didn't know existed. Meta's favorite game of all time is in there.
I don't know if it's my favorite game of all time, but it's got to be one of my favorites. I can't have an all-time favorite. You couldn't do that.
John Madden Football?
Yes, that's actually my favorite game of all time.
I was going to say the space game. I don't even remember the name for it. Oh my god. Well, let's go. Actually, no, you go ahead, Meta. Finish.
I was just about to say, I actually had what was it? I think it was Madden 97 or Madden 87 for the Sega Genesis. I can't remember. It was like a Madden something. And I love the shit out of that game. That game was great.
Yeah,
No.
this is the 1988 version.
19.
No, dude, it's all about
Oh,
that Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo Bowl 19. Let's. I gotta look it up now. 1988 Madden. Hold on, because it's not okay. It is not. It is not that version of the
You
game,
might
but
have
it's
had the
very
one.
clear. It's very close to it.
Aw. I don't think I started playing them until they were on like the PlayStation 2.
I think it was maybe it was 94. It might have been Madden 94. Yeah, I think it was Madden 94.
Why? How old were you?
I wasn't too young now.
He was a wee lad.
Yeah, it was on the Genesis.
I would have been
Yeah.
7.
I mean, well, I didn't play it in 94.
Oh, okay.
No, well, like my parents. Well, the thing was, my parents. My mom actually got as a present for my dad. Actually got him a Nintendo system, and later
The
on,
Nintendo?
yeah,
system?
the Nintendo, the original NES. And then later on, what ended up happening was that it kind of got passed on to me, but I also got really big into Sonic. So I got a Genesis, but what they did is they bought one of those packs. They're like, oh, it comes with the game too, because they did that shit back then as well.
Yep.
And it just so happened that Madden NFL 94 was the game that came with it. So if it's the one I'm thinking of, I'm fairly certain this is
All
the
of
one.
this could be completely false.
Yes, it could all be wrong, but there was a Madden. It was a Madden game. Yes, it was on the Genesis. Okay, never mind. So the story is as true as I cared it to be. And then I just happened to have the game, and I actually played it, and I actually enjoyed the shit out of that game. It was
Remember
very
the
fun.
32X?
I feel like the 32X didn't really do anything
No.
spectacular.
I remember I got the really bad Sonic game that was for it, and that was it. And I was that one that had like the chaotic skies, like the crocodile and the chameleon.
Genesis was really the peak for Sega, and then like Saturn did mad.
What
They tried to say
Dreamcast was good.
Dreamcast was great.
No
it
one
was
just
way
bought
ahead of
it.
its time. It was just ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Too expensive. That was really what killed it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's get on
Who's first?
to topics.
Who's on first?
Meta just happens to be first, so you go ahead.
I just have to
We'll
be
just
first.
keep talking
So I
about-
told this story to lead into another story that has nothing to do with it.
Oh,
So
damn, I was hoping you could actually find a line.
I was like, I want to try this now. So, but the one thing about Madden NFL 94 that I do remember that was that the game was not very friendly to you. And it was actually
people
kind
just
of
died left and right.
die left and right. Which leads into my question for the day. No, Madden NFL was actually pretty easy to pick up for the most part, but it did actually have a lot of things that did make it more difficult later on that I didn't know about. And it's kind of looking back on it, I never really noticed it as a kid, but I didn't realize that was also very easy for me because I was cheesing the game a bit. If you played it, and if you play it legit, it's actually pretty difficult in certain fashions. It's a little janky too, like all of them are. That's never changed, thank God. EA, that you don't change.
Yeah.
But the difficulty of the game kind of brings us over to what I am going to ask, and I'm going to try to transition as best I can, is difficulty in tabletop games, video games, and board games. And more specifically, and this is where the transition dies, lethality in those games. I mean, you've got all these different lethalities, and we're talking about like, health pools and, like how easy is it to die, not to just like potentially losing all your health, but to some trick or trap. And, we've some of us have all played those games where it's like, you just play the game and then it's either you die or you live. And those are simple. But then you've got games like the old school, like Rogue, which, gave obviously spawn to Rogue type games and Rogue lights and stuff like that. But that game was very difficult, where if you died, it was for realsies and you started over and that was the end of it. And then you had, you have games like even are the ones that we've all met on, is like L5R is generally considered a very lethal game. It's very easy to quickly die in that game, or die a very slow death because your opponent keeps whiffing on you, but you can't hit them because you're a negative 40 a penalty. So,
or you just have that spell on you that doesn't let you die
yeah,
Until,
just that one spell.
until it
Yeah.
fades.
Or if you're a cheating heated berserker.
Hida awesome, I think you meant to say.
Yes, Hida awesome. The one rank 2 school attack that breaks like all normal conventions of the combat. And then you got games like I mean, it's changed over the years because obviously, like if you go back to like D&D Second Edition, THAC0, pretty easy to die in that game. First edition was also
Wizard died to a house cat.
Yep, wizards could die to house cats. It was actually better to
that
have
D4 hit points.
Kid you not, it was better to have an army of house cats than it was to have an army of peasants because the house cats were better. So you have games like that, but then you have like ones nowadays where you've got like 5th edition where it's actually pretty generous in like how easy it is to die. It's actually considered pretty difficult for them. It's more balanced in that regard. And
4th was like I never saw a 4th edition character die.
A 4th I think is really hard to die unless you just get overrun, and I think that's really what it comes down to.
Healing surges were a thing.
Yep, healing surges were really strong. But I mean, then you've got games like 13th Age and so on and so forth. And then there's like board games out there that have health pools that is very easy to die in. Like if you've ever played the XCOM board game, it's very easy to get overwhelmed in that game if you've played it, because that game does not let you think on stuff. Shit happens, you have an app with it, and that app just says like, guess what? Aliens are invading. You need to save the planet, but everything is blowing up. What do you do? And it's like, well, Jesus Christ. I didn't sign up for this. But my question for you guys, and really the goal of it is that what is your ideal style of lethality? Not like the lethality that you like the best from a game, or the free to use ones that are similar to what your ideal is, but what is an ideal lethality that you like? What's the kind of game where, obviously, and I'm not gonna let you just answer, well, I want one that's fair. Let's say it feels like if you got killed, it felt fair. Don't give me that cop-out answer. Everybody wants a fair death. What I want to know is, how lethal do you want that game to be? Fairness, like in an ideal world, it's completely fair, but it was super lethal. You could die in like 2 hits. Or do you like a game where it's not easy to die, or it's kind of like goes a slugfest? What is your ideal?
I don't. It depends. I think that's kind of like a cop-out answer, but
damn it,
for video games, like it just depends on the type of game. To be honest with you, like I enjoy the super lethal nature of the Soulsborne series a lot, so maybe I like my video games pretty lethal.
Death is not a consequence in those games.
Yeah,
it's not necessary, basically.
Yeah, 2 deaths in a row, quickly in procession, are a consequence. Potentially.
Even then, not really. Like,
you don't like start over.
Yeah.
No, but most games, most video games play under that concept, though. Even if you might start over at the beginning of the level, you might have to load up your save file.
Yeah. So whatever. Maybe in video games, maybe in video games, I like less lethality because I never do like no death runs of those games or any game really. We did just do the Nuzlocke, which was which is obviously like the lethal version of Pokemon, which I enjoyed quite profusely. In tabletop games, I don't like feelings like games where I feel invincible necessarily. I always like it where death is a possibility in most encounters. But at the same time, sometimes you even if when your character would die, sometimes the GM, for the sake of the story, will not kill the character off, etc., etc. So it has a time and a place, maybe, and that kind of just depends on the game too. But I appreciate more lethality because I like it when the characters feel really in danger because there's something at stake. Tensions are risen more than they normally are. It's always good when you feel worried for your character at the table a little bit. At least from my experience, that's what I like as a player. Anyways, going into a counter, I love the oh shit, we could die, the scene where the villain just hands the characters their asses on a platter. And it's you're not ready for this. Those kinds of scenes.
You like that stuff, okay?
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. So I'll say I like a little bit more lethality than probably what you would consider your average or our cop out answer, but maybe not super brutal.
So you don't. So a game that would be where your health pool is maybe 1 or 2 hits is not a game that you would really want to be a part of because that's pretty lethal. You get
and that could even be L5R, which is my favorite RPG, but
it's even in L5R though. I know they say it's lethal, but even L5R, like 1 or 2 hits generally isn't lethal unless you just have really low health and you're being clearly placed off against somebody who's just going to hit
random
you.
You just get unlucky.
Yeah, or if you just get unlucky.
Fourth edition is the less lethal of all the editions. So.
Yeah, because they swapped it around. But I get what you're saying. You prefer the idea that like you can take a few hits before it really starts to creep in.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. What about you, Mao? What's your ideal lethality?
Ideally, I guess probably not very lethal. I tend to get attached to characters, and I like. I mean, you can have. I don't really care about death as a penalty. I mean, there are like other ways to have things go wrong without it being death, right?
Yeah.
Like you can still fail without it being death being the fail state. It's sort of like in comic books, you don't really ever expect the heroes to lose, but you still get an interesting story about how it affects them in other ways, even though they probably will come out of this, winning.
So you almost like, excuse me, because that it sounds almost like you prefer like where there's more of a So I mean the lethality question's answered, but you kind of like it also when it's less that the consequence is death, and that there's a lot of philosophical or ethical or even potentially social consequences to that success or failure.
Correct.
That's pretty cool. I actually like those too. I actually like that a lot because I think
death isn't easy.
Yeah,
it's kind of a cop out in some ways.
Yeah, death is generally. I kind of agree with that. Like death is generally doesn't hold much. It's your character dies. It's like it sucks. I mean, if you put a lot of time into it and you're really attached to it, death can suck, hands down.
Right.
But
and I do hate death in that I get attached to characters.
Yeah.
But I find it more interesting for other consequences. I typically find just more interesting.
All right, that explains then.
Which is a more balance. Like it can be more difficult to like figure out what those should be. Like you have to know the characters and whatnot. And, like be like the story. Like have a greiter understanding of maybe the story.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable.
What's the worst thing that can happen? You become a Ronin.
I mean, that explains like that. So then my question for you is because like that goes into like the fact that you say that you prefer less lethality because the lethality isn't so much what really matters to you and you get attached. So what drew you then to L5R? I know it's not really on the topic, but like what brought you to L5R then?
I'm a weeb.
No, okay. Okay, well that answers
But also the like at its core it typically is duty versus like duty versus personal attachments and stuff like that is a much more interesting story for me. Like a samurai is always willing to die. That's just expected of them. It's the conflicts that come from other things that is generally more
which would make sense because then again it goes back to like what you think is more interesting. So.
Yeah, the Nindo and Giri stuff.
Yeah.
What about
Ninja?
You, Tets?
Sorry, not Naruto. The way of that's your ninja way.
It's Giri and gosh damn it. No, I'm see.
It's Ninjo and Giri.
Ninjo and Giri. Okay.
Nindo is my ninja way. Yes.
Yes. That's you're becoming a Hokage is your ninja way. So, no one's gonna stop you.
We've got one answer thus far of like I kind of like my games kind of lethal, and we got one answer that's like I don't want my games all that super lethal. What do you, Tats? We've got. Are you gonna find that middle ground to keep this balanced, or are you gonna shift it?
I'm gonna find the middle ground. But I think the reason why the middle ground is because truly folded into my answer. Like I like there to be consequences of my actions, whether or not it's my character dies or my lord now sends me to be Ronin or whatever the case is, I like there to be consequences. And as far as lethality as the ultimate consequence to every single action, Not as much. That's partially why I'm not huge on the Dark Souls games.
I would argue lethality is not a consequence, more so than a lot of other games.
And I mean, like, I agree with what you're saying because it happens and it's something that's going to constantly come up. But at the same time,
and the fact that there's like no penalty other than
all that
maybe
sweet
some
EXP.
My souls,
But
my
honestly-
blood.
Souls.
But I mean, it also probably helps that I come from more of an RPG background where dying could mean losing hours, whereas Dark Souls is not like that.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess too is the definition of consequences, because I mean it still is like it's teaching you through death. I guess
Right.
for me,
Generally, you get a lot of out of death in the Soulsborne games.
Yeah,
Just-
in
I
a
guess
tabletop game, it feels
narratively-
cheaper if that was like the thing. There's
I
not a lot of
think
games.
that's
There's
really
not
good
always
for
a lot of
me.
ways to resurrect your character in a tabletop RPG unless you're playing D&D.
I just narratively, I guess I'm not as much of a fan of death as a narration. Like it when used sparsely enough so that way it really hits home, and so therefore, like, I like there to be death involved, but enough where an actual death is going to mean a lot.
Okay.
Way Dark Souls also does it right because each death means a lot because it means I'm getting better. I guess it means a little, but ultimately it means a lot because it's a core piece of gameplay. So
I think I
I
get
guess
what you're
for
trying
me,
to
my
say.
biggest thing is I like it where whatever the consequence is, it feels real and tangible. It's not Super Mario where you fall down the pit and start the level over again, and that's just kind of the end of the statement. Like, I like there to be more to the consequences than just do it again.
Okay.
Because in the case of Dark Souls, it's not just go do it again. It's I have to go recover my money / my experience. So there's still that in an RPG, it's if I die, I can't just go do it again. I have to go make a new character. So I think that's the big thing for me is it something that just resets the counter, or is it something that legitimately makes a difference?
Okay. Okay. So that makes sense then. I guess that's why I can see you put it in the middle of the road here, which is kind of funny. We've kind of got like a trifecta in here going on.
What about you, Meta?
For me, okay, well, I am probably going to be a little bit in between Obs and Tets because I mean I actually like my games a little bit lethal. I know death isn't like it's not, death isn't the end all be all and you can make a new character. But I like the game where, as Obs put it, I do like the idea that like when you are in a fight, knowing that you could just go into a fight could mean the end of your character in there. It's not like, oh, I go into this fight, it's like, the odds are like pretty much guaranteed I'm not going to die. I like the idea that when you go into a fight, there's a possibility you could die, and that's a thing. But I don't like it so much where a heavy lethality can instantly end your character. It doesn't even matter if you go in as it's like you could go in the odds like 15-1, and those odds really mean nothing because you could still die really easily. And I mean that kind of goes. I guess I'm copying on my own answer. Here I go. It goes into the fairness of it all, but I don't like that too much because it does feel a bit too lethal. For me, as Tets put, I like the idea that like when you go into a fight, that it should mean something, and that death should mean something. At least when it comes into the sense of a tabletop game, where if you have to make a new character. Because like you, Mao, I do tend to get a little bit attached to my characters. I do enjoy them. I make them for a reason because I think they're an interesting character that I would like to play as, and that for me is something I want to run the gambit of. I don't want it to be where I suddenly just go in and die to some random crab because he happened to snip me and he cut my vein and I bled out all over the place and I fumbled in the ability to put a band-aid on me or something like that. I don't want that. But I do want to know that the idea is that when I go into fight. So the lethality of me is I kind of want it lethal, but not so much that everything is lethal. It shouldn't be like that. Because there is a point where certain things just aren't as lethal to you anymore. They really just aren't. They fall out of that lethal range. They just turn into threatening, but probably not going to kill you. And there's just a point where that happens. For video games, though, I gotta admit, man, I really like the Dark Souls Neo style of lethality. At least when it comes to like how your health bar is and whatnot being killed. But those games are generally pretty rock solid when it comes to the gameplay and when it comes to the fairness of that death. So again, that goes back to being fairness. I'm copying out my own answers.
You'll know why you died when you die in one of those games.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's I like that kind of thing. I enjoy them. I revel in those challenges. I really do. Those bring me a lot of enjoyment, and knowing that like when I'm going into that fight, that if I could screw around, but that dude could kill me. Like even though I'm level 50 in like a level 10 stage, that dude could still kill me. I enjoy that in a video game a lot more than I like in a tabletop, because again, the death means I at most have to just load up my save file and maybe spend like 30 minutes running back to the fight or whatever. But I enjoy that because those are something you can quickly get back to, restart the fight, learn from your mistakes, or maybe not be so cocky this time and actually win the fight. And I enjoy that. So I enjoy kind of a heavier lethality in my video games.
Why you button mashing, bro?
But for tabletops, I'm gonna be in between Obs and Tets on this one.
Yeah.
I like it lethal, but not so much that even a slight gust of wind is lethal.
Yeah, and here's one thing I'll say about like the tabletop games that I played in. I want like at least in like with my local group. I mean, we've had like a few games where characters died through the middle of the game. They never like really feel like they affect the characters or the story in a meaningful way, like from my experience. And I want to see like one time where with my local group that happens, and it's like a really big deal that one of the like it weighs heavily on like the other PCs or like some of the NPCs or stuff. It has happened like in the first game I ever played of L5R. It happened like somewhat for a little bit, but the game like ended like 2 sessions. Just happened to like be over 2 sessions after the character died, so it wasn't like a lasting like grand like arc for some of the characters or the story or anything. I'm gonna see that happen like at least once in a game I play. I think
that would be, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's really nice to know that when somebody dies in a game, that they at least have a lasting consequence on the people who were there. There was a relationship. You lost somebody important. It should have an impact. So,
yep, I agree with you there. So,
good answers, guys. Very good answers.
Good topic, man. It's glad you came back with the.
I know.
With the good
came
stuff.
Back strong. I just needed 2 weeks off so that I could think of a really good topic.
That's
now
all
I'm gonna take 2 more weeks off.
You're gonna come back with some real gold.
Yeah, that's my real goal along. We just to take 2 weeks off so I can come back with a solid topic.
All right, Tets, you're up next. What do you got tonight?
I recently went back to a game that I really don't know why I stopped playing. Elite Dangerous. It's a space fighter sim. I guess I said it's just a space fighter, just I guess spaceship piloting sim, because you can do a lot in the game.
Is it an actual flight sim?
Yes, to the point where. So actually, talking about lethality, this is a great segue.
I'm glad I could provide it.
The game is pretty realistic, and when I say pretty realistic, I mean like if you just taking off from like a dock, you have to do a pre-flight check, make sure your thrusters are working, take off your landing gear, or else you're gonna not go fast enough. You have to listen to the what do you call them? Traffic controllers about, you got to pay attention to the ships that are also flying in and out. If you go too fast, you'll get fined, maybe even shot out of the sky if the station doesn't like you. And let alone if you're part of a different faction, then, they'll treat you totally differently than they'll treat you if you're, part of the faction that's in control versus their enemies and stuff. Like, it gets really in depth and it's a lot of fun, but like, as I say, like it just takes one little, so one of the main station types, just to kind of give you an idea with the lethality tangent or segue in, being spinning. Think a D20. It's not quite a D20, but just think a floating D20. And it has like this tiny little mail slot that you have to fly into, but it spins on that axis, so that mail slot is spinning like, from like a clock. So you have to actually pilot in while doing a slight corkscrew. And if you go straight, if you clip your wing, you'll wedge yourself in there and easily explode your ship. You lose your ship, anything that you're transporting, all of your modules.
I think you're gonna die in that. You're flying the ship. Don't you die?
You do, and this is kind of where like that lethality of consequences. This is actually one of the games I was thinking about. About that is that you then get restarted, and you can either buy back the ship, the whole setup that you had before, or just start from scratch, start from the beginning. And a lot of people that play in the art because it is kind of a bit of you make your own adventure, and I'll get into that here in a minute. But there are like RP servers on Discord and RP forums and stuff for it.
Is it multiplayer or single player?
It is MMO, but you don't have to actively be playing with other people. You can play in your own instance, or you can play with people. And again, part of the lethality is somebody, you might be doing a perfect landing, and they'll get a fine for shooting, but they nicked your ship and caused you to wedge yourself and die. And so those players aren't really there, but that's why I tend to play in solo, is because I'm always afraid of those players showing up and screwing up my game.
I will be very upset by that too. I'd be like, you son of a bitch.
I don't know that I've ever seen that happen, but I know that it can, and so it's like a shadow in the back of my mind. But so you have people where if they ever die, they will totally never buy back their ship, and they will always start off as if they are a new character in the universe, like they're a brand new starship pilot. They will get rid of all their credits. They'll start their bank account at zero and just. Again, I guess kind of you have that in any type of game where
they're running it on Iron Man.
Yeah, but it's pretty common in Elite Dangerous, or so it seems, compared to other games. I don't know. Maybe I'm. Those circles enough. But so the thing about Elite Dangerous is
yes.
So it has part of the elements that makes EVE Online either really, really interesting or really, really dull. It's not quite spreadsheets in space, but if you decide to do, say, a trader, you can look up online, like at each station you can buy goods, but you would then have to go online, see what stations are buying goods for better price than what you bought them at to go sell them at. And by the time you get there, the prices may have fluctuated. So, a lot of people have a second monitor up. So it can be very tedious. You can be like a space pirate if you want, just setting shop in lanes and pulling people out of orbit and stealing their cargo and stuff. You have bounty hunters that specifically hunt players that do that. Because again, in addition to doing the mission, the trading, you have missions. You also have like people that are wanting to go places. Different stations pretty much just have different jobs, and you can choose whatever jobs at the station you're at, or go find another station and find some jobs there. But the thing that's really, really cool about the game is that it's a 1-to-1 representation of the Milky Way galaxy.
Really?
Yeah, and
That's
there's
pretty cool.
only certain areas that have human inhabitants, and so you can go way off, they call it the bubble, but way off the beaten path, and you can be in a whole bunch of star systems where there's no systems whatsoever, and you have to install like fuel scoops to scoop fuel from stars in order to keep going. And then you just collect a whole bunch of exploration data, make your way back to human space, and you just sell all that data of stuff that you just saw while you were just going. And people have seen some really cool stuff.
That actually sounds pretty cool. Like, if you go off the beaten path far enough, is it possible that you could like create a new station out there? Is that something you could do?
Yeah, so that's one of the really cool things. They have these community goals that they'll set up, and it's a living, breathing environment where Frontier Developments, the team that does this, they pay attention to what the community, what the player base is doing. And they will start to do, like, there was one guy who made it I think it's called Beagle Station, I think is the name of the station. But essentially, he made it way, way, way far, almost on the exact opposite side of the galaxy of where Sol is. And then he turned and came back, and people started doing that regularly. And so they created a station at that point, and they created this whole narrative. There's this whole mission involved, and then you had like people going out there on these community goals to help bring stuff to build the station or to help transfer personnel or whatever the case was. And so as players start to do these things and start visiting these areas more often, develop, and then they'll put in a station there.
That's pretty cool.
Players can make factions. I actually recently just jumping back in because the game is more fun with friends, and so I joined a faction, and they recently became an actual player faction, and have recently become the primary faction in a star system, and so they own the star system now and so they get to make the political decisions in the background. 'Cause again, that's one of the other things you can do. There's a bunch of different powers, and you can specifically help out powers that you want or hinder powers that you don't want taking power. So there's a lot you can do. But all of that was there when I played back in 2015, and I stopped playing, I think like in the September or the October of that year. And I just came back, and they've added so much more to the game. You can now land on planets. You can do mining stuff on planets. Because you used to be able to like mine asteroids. That was one of the other ways you could make money, was mine asteroids, refine the metals, and go sell them. Well, now you can do that on a planet. They have this little like rover vehicle that you can do. And people started discovering these ancient like sites. There was this alien race sharing the galaxy with us.
Oh yeah, I heard about the alien event stuff in the past.
And that started coming into play. They're called the Thargoids, and so they've started showing up. And they would originally be really sporadic. They were, are they enemies? Are they not? But now suddenly they'll show up, start attacking like stations, and you can help defend the stations. And they're pushing their way towards Sol, and so the player base is trying to essentially prevent the aliens from reaching humanity's homeworld.
That's pretty badass.
You don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. If you just want to be a regular old space trucker who doesn't care about the war going on, you can do that.
I want it to be like, oh no, they're attacking the base. Look, I don't really care what they're doing. I got these packages to deliver, and I'm gonna get them there on time.
Hilarious.
Logistics.
You can just Google.
I want it to now be like a literal space 18-wheeler, like that you can just drive.
Oh man. Design is gorgeous in this game. If you're into sci-fi ships, just the ship design.
I mean this stuff hits home for me because I love sci-fi ships and shit. We both share that. We love sci-fi crap. There's some people in the Discord for the free company that I'm part of for Final Fantasy 14 that also play this game. So every now and then when I'm like trying to clear out all the fucking chat that's in all the lit up boxes for all the topics, I will sometimes see that if stuff being placed down for Elite Dangerous, I'll see like we had somebody who was really invested into it. They were showing like their ship builds, what they were doing every day. They've stopped really sharing it now, but for a while, I mean, you were following what they were doing day to day in the game. So
and
it's pretty cool.
It is crazy. Like the first Elite game came out in 1984, so the series in and of itself has been around for a long time.
Isn't it a question? Because I know that there's a game like called Wing Commander, and I don't know if that game had any. I think that. Sorry, I think that game had like there's some between Elite Dangerous and Wing Commander and whatnot. There's similarities in them, correct?
They were contemporaries. I think it was the second Elite Dangerous and Wing Commander that were contemporaries. Maybe it was with the first. I don't fully remember.
Okay.
And they definitely played off each other. This newer stuff does borrow things from Wing Commander that were successful that the original Elites didn't have in them.
Okay. Because I remember. Because I mean, all it really was a space combat simulation video game. You flew around and you could decide whether you wanted to become this, or that, and then essentially what you were talking about. Like you could be a space pirate, you could be a You could be a bounty hunter. You could just be a full-on trader if you wanted to. It was really like just how you wanted to live your life. So
cool things that I think going to my discussion last week about progression in games. There's no like skills related to each job or class. There's no like classes or anything. You just kind of kit out your ship and you go do it. And let's say you're in the middle of it and you're like, I don't really enjoy this. Well then, okay, just do something else. Like you don't have to change class. You don't have to worry about even necessarily re-kitting out your ships. Almost all of the ships can do all of the things. It might not be optimized for it, but you could use the small little fighter to run cargo if you so decided. You could take the massive freighter ship and go take it in a battle if you so wanted. There's nothing that stops you, besides maybe losing the ship and the cargo and everything that you paid for up to that point. But
yeah,
that's kind of half the fun, the risk of it. I put in a lot of hours when I first played it, and
so are there generally like now question for you, because this is generally something that's pretty common. Are there just generally certain ships that are just better, or it's not even certain ships? Are there like you have like your different factions, your different like builders of ships and whatnot? Are there generally like does builder builder A their ships are generally like transporter ships, and like builder B's their ships are generally combat ships? Is that like how it is, or is it
sort
like
of.
you, or
I mean, to a degree.
Okay, so it's more like then it's gonna be more like where it's like you have like your different manufacturers, but they kind of dabble in a little different areas, and it just kind of depends on your manufacturer and their design. Is that really what it's more like?
Kind of a bit of both. So, because there's a lot of lore in this game, and a lot of it again is things that they've put into place because the players have, but some of it they've created. But when it comes to the ship manufacturers, for example, there's one. I'm blanking on the manufacturer's name now, but they make a line of ships that are like named after sea animals: orca, dolphin. These cruise liner ships that are designed specifically to transport passengers in luxury.
Really?
And you could use it for cargo, but that's what they make them for, and they're very much designed for that. Whereas Lakon Spaceways, they make these big, bulky freighter ships, which again you could use for something else, but they very much specialize in transporting cargo. I'm talking hundreds of tons of cargo in these things. Then you have Core Dynamics, who their ships are much more agile, fast. They're your basic fighter ships. They're also smaller than a lot of the other ships, again, for that maneuverability. But that being said, all three of them, I think it's Sand Kruger is the first one, whatever their name is, they don't. But Lakon does have one that is designed to be more of a fighter role, and Core Dynamics does have a cargo ship. But the majority of its line is fighters, whereas the majority of Lakon is cargo. But then you have just have like ships across the board where they just make what they make. And so you can pick up a fighter from them, or cargo, or a cruise liner, or a etc. Explorer ship. So it actually depends more on the particular ship manufacturer. But again, it's kind of like modern vehicles today. Like some companies make all kinds of vehicles, where some only make cars, some only make trucks, some make ATV. Whatever.
Yeah,
that regard.
All right, I get what you're saying.
And it's those little details that make it feel real. It makes, because that's the biggest thing about this game. The immersion factor in it is so high. Like, you're kind of good a little bit with finding ways to entertain yourself. It gets really immersive. You can even like press a button and look around your cockpit while you're piloting. And they've recently, one of the other things that they added since I was last in there is actually allowing you to customize your avatar, your pilot, and certain ships that have multiple seats in them, piloting that one ship. And so you can see all of your buddies in the ship. You can't walk around in the ship, but you can look around and see them, and divvy up jobs and everything.
Starfinder is a video game.
Yeah, right.
If you have VR, it blows it out of the water.
Tets, where's my AR MMO flight sim soft thing?
One day, Obs.
It's right here.
Day.
It's right here.
I want to sit. I want to put on my Google glasses and shoot my lasers.
So honestly, like if you have your Oculus and you have a throttle and stick.
That's VR, not AR.
Oh, VR. Yeah. I was hearing VR, not AR. Thank you.
VR makes me sick.
It is.
It makes a lot of people sick.
Though, like I was actually looking up a thing online to turn your phone by using Google Cardboard.
Yeah.
There's a little app that you can download to your phone to actually use it for tracking to turn a Google Cardboard into a game compatible.
Fuck is Google Cardboard?
It's where you make a VR headset out of cardboard.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And put your phone in it.
Yep.
I mean, it's not compatible with like all games or anything.
What?
Yeah, it has
its own
app,
thing.
so it has. There's this other app that I was talking about. If
Mind
you
blown.
download it, as long as Steam offers it as a VR game on Steam, you can then route it to your phone and use it with this app. It does have a cost to it, and I don't remember.
Get blown out, Nintendo. This came out 3 years ago. Google is the original
been a long
cardboard
time.
pioneer. Labo, Nomo, kick to the curbo. I got my Google Cardboard.
God.
Is,
Yeah, actually, almost 4 years ago.
my
Yeah,
Google
almost.
Cardboard has a R2D2 paint job thing on it, so it looks like a little Star Wars droid. But the problem with cardboard, because it's on your phone, is you do have to use your hands, so you have to like put a strap on it, which I guess wouldn't be theoretically too hard to put it on there, because cardboard's meant to be where you could design it at home. But I did pick up a throttle and stick for this game when I first bought it, and it makes the game so much more fun. But the reality, like they tried to, it is very simulationist, and so you can quickly run out of buttons. And even if you're using keyboard mappings, sometimes you have to do dual keys for a command, just because there are that many things. This is one of its downsides, if that's not something that sounds like fun to you, to memorize where all of the different key things are. They do so. As I said, the community is doing some really cool stuff with this, but there's this one guy who has this thing called Voice Attack that you can install on your computer if you have a microphone, and it's a program that takes, you say whatever you want, and then it'll game, so you can just, maybe you don't have all the buttons for like your landing gear, you just say deploy landing gear, and your landing gear drops down. So that's like
sweet.
I downloaded that as well, because I mean, I just want to sit there in my chair with my joystick and throttle and just like dictate the things rather than having to reach across the desk to hit the keyboard, and it is so much fun.
I bet, man. That sounds pretty fun. Yeah.
To it, some people say that it's and to be fair, there's some truth to this, that it is a mile wide and an inch deep, because again, there's all these things to it. It can get a little repetitive. It can get a little boring. It can be space if that's what you are looking for it. If the whole point of playing it is just to make as much money to buy the best ship in the game, and then that's it, it can very quickly get stale. But it wasn't with the idea that people want to fly spaceships and they will find an excuse to fly spaceships. Here's a universe for you to do it in. Go have fun. Like that's the whole premise of the game. It really is. It's finding an excuse to jump in your spaceship and just go fly.
Do we really need one? You don't need one.
Get
don't
the
need
damn
an
robots.
excuse.
Get in the damn robot, Shinji.
Get in the damn TIE fighter, Luke. Luke.
Get in the damn TIE fighter, Luke.
I'm pretty sure Aunt Beru said that in New Hope. Well, no. Here's the real question, Tess. How's it stack up to the best MMO of all time, Final Fantasy XIV?
Oh my god.
So the thing where you can
Not
be the class,
15.
you can jump up and
Well, you did
But
say
so you know the
MMO.
class where you can jump up in the air and then you can like come down on the opponent, but then be still totally useless in the fight. You can do that in this too.
Can I stand in the fire?
Jesus.
I want to stand in the fire.
That Dragoon shade.
It's about the extent of everything I know about Final Fantasy 14, so I don't have any
You,
more.
all you know is you're like in that position where you've seen enough
No.
memes to know about the game, but not enough to truly scratch. Like, to go
Joke's
deeper
on
than
you.
that.
I've been playing Ninja, so I'm Naruto. Get out of here. I got my hand signs. I'm using.
But I
I'm
did
doing my
Run with your arms
jutsus.
back.
Yep.
He
They
does.
do. They
Like,
Naruto.
They
right?
do. They Naruto the shit out of it.
I say that being when I back when Final Fantasy 14 had to do the trial period and played, I was playing Lancer with the idea of going to Dragoon, so I totally say that. with
Dragoon's
that
fucking
salt
awesome. So
Dude,
but
Dragoon was great in the original and then Heaven's Word, but Dragoon started becoming pretty support heavy in Stormblood, which kind of sucks because it doesn't really feel Dragoony.
Those are words.
yeah, you got your little 15% crit buff or whatever that you gotta
Yeah.
use.
It's fine. But now it's a lot of things that Dragoon do are it doesn't feel very Dragoon because Dragoon always felt like this is the dude that kills fucking dragons.
Yeah.
But now it's a very supporty melee class, and I was like, It's not why I play. It's not why I play Dragoon. I want to stab the dragon, not help my friend support to kill it.
Yeah. I ain't putting cards on people. That's what Meta said. Don't you put that astrology on me.
Get your beliefs out of my face.
All right. We're going to come back to Final Fantasy 14 another day, but for now, it's Mal's turn to talk about his topic. What do you have tonight, Mal?
I got in the robot.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
I've been
I was
waiting.
waiting for someone.
I want to hear this so badly. That game looks so fun.
We're obviously talking about
robots.
Neon Genesis Evangelion,
Yeah,
the big
Neon
video
Genesis
game
Evangelion,
that just
yeah.
released the other day.
Yeah, crossover with Gundam. It's a great game.
That is Super Robot Tyson.
For robot games are great too.
No, yeah, I've been playing. I beat God of War, Dad of War,
Dad of War.
Yeah, which I've been enjoying
it's
more.
Dad of War. I gotta still pick up that game, but I really want to play it.
So good. But so I moved on to BattleTech. That came out last Tuesday.
I'm so excited.
I kickstarted it back in sometime in the past.
Yeah, I think you talked about it at one
I-
point on the
13
podcast.
Yeah, I
years
talked
ago?
about it when they came out with the beta.
Yep.
Yeah.
For Kickstarter people. And I've been enjoying it quite a bit. It is a turn-based strategy video game developed by Harebrained Schemes and published by Paradox Interactive.
I wanted to say, hold on a second. I wanted to say
I
that
didn't
the
know it was
developer's name is amazing.
What?
The developer's name is
Oh yeah,
amazing.
Harebrained Schemes.
Yeah, it's a great name.
That's a great name.
Shadow Run games, which I have all I kickstarted those 3. So this is my 4th I've kickstarted with them.
Good God, they've done.
You
they've
could say
had a
Mal's a
track
big
record.
fan of this company.
I am.
They're
I didn't
they've
realize
apparently got a
that,
good. Well, I mean, they've successfully kickstarted 4 games now. That's a good track
At
record.
least.
At least 4 games. Is
I
there
don't know.
more?
I didn't actually play Necropolis. Was that kickstarted? It does not look like it was. Okay, so yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful picture. Love me, giant robots.
That's actually
Yeah.
my wallpaper. I know everybody can see it at the moment, but
So
computer wallpaper.
yeah,
learn me the details now.
I'll just use it as the video pic. There you go.
so it is a BattleTech video game in the BattleTech universe. The creator of the BattleTech miniatures game, Jordan Weissman, was on the development team. It
Ah.
draws a lot of inspiration from the miniatures game.
Ooh.
People say it's probably the best representation. Like, it's not a 1-for-1. I mean, the
Obviously.
miniature game's pretty old too.
That
at this
that
point.
explains why my buddy has been playing it like 12 hours a day because he loves the BattleTech miniatures game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just really good.
So
Pretty good.
I gotta ask right now, right here. We're just gonna start. I noticed that like the game plays. Obviously you're kind of like mercenaries and whatnot, but is there like an actual storyline in this game,
Oh,
or
yeah.
is it more of like you're just trying to take care of your mercenary crew?
No, so the I will speak just like the opening
Don't
bit.
spoil.
Basically.
Yeah, don't spoil.
I'm going to spoil the tutorial, I guess.
Oh no!
Setup.
No, not the tutorial. That's
Which you will eventually be able to skip. But you can't yet because they've got improvements they're still making. But yeah, you customize your character. You make them pick your background. Like it's takes place in 3025, I believe that is.
3025, yeah.
Yeah, so that is at the very end of the what wars? Some kind of war.
The what war?
Bosun War.
It's a popular time war time period or whatever.
The Warring States era. It was taking place after the Warring States.
That's after the clan has come, right?
Yeah.
Right
before Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
I'm being legitimate. Like I think that's after the clanners have come to
interstate. That is incorrect. It takes place at the near end of the Succession War era. Clanners do not exist yet. They don't exist for at least I think the guy who founds them doesn't go off until 3 years from that date or something.
Gotcha. Okay, I know where it's at now. The timeline.
Yeah. Clanners don't exist. It's all Intersphere. You can pick your house, or you can be from the periphery. You can say what you've been doing since, or your childhood sort of thing. These all just kind of give it opens up more dialogue options in the game. Like if you have whatever your background is, and you got a call from your mentor who needs help. You're on this planet and it's Coronation Day, and he wants you to just guard the person who can't remember her title, whatever she's becoming. I can't remember. I think it's the Empress, but it might not be. Either way, that all goes. Fubar or whatever. That her uncle stages a coup and
gas.
Yeah, you have to get out of there, but you end up having to eject out at the end of the tutorial mission. And you you eject out and get picked up by your mentor, who ends up staying there to sacrifice himself so you can leave.
Damn it, mentor! I only knew you for a tutorial level, and you've already killed yourself.
And his mercenaries pick you up, and you guys basically GTF out of that area. And it's reported that the Empress chick dies, and you. Then it just cuts to a time period later. I think it's maybe 3 years. I can't exactly remember. It cuts to a later time where you're in the outskirts, and you were made the leader of the mercenary group because no one else wanted the job, and you're in a ton of debt because they had to take a whole crap ton of debt out to make the jump out to the periphery.
Jesus.
Yeah, so you are now the commander, and you have a ton of debt to manage is a big part of it. And then basically after the next mission of that lead in, you get a call and you get dragged back into the political side of things. So yeah, that's how the story starts off. So you're dealing it's like Game of Thrones, because that's how everyone describes political drama these days.
It's Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Everything is Game of Thrones now. Regardless of
talking about lethality,
drama, especially slightly gritty, it's Game of Thrones like. It's just I've seen it in a lot of reviews, but that's just because they're explaining what people know about or whatever. Obviously, the BattleTech universe though is one of those really old franchises that not a ton of people might exactly know about. Sort of like Warhammer 40K or even L5R. When it's not the huge player base of World of Warcraft or Magic the Gathering, right? So when sometimes new people find it and find out they have decades of lore or whatever. But
oh God.
Yeah, have any of you guys played the Firaxis XCOM games?
A little bit, yeah.
Nope.
No, unfortunately.
Okay. It has some similarities to that in that it's turn-based, and then like you have a base management similar to that involves time. Like if a pilot gets injured or your stuff gets damaged, you have to like the pilots, the mech warriors are held up in the infirmary, and your BattleTech they are under repairs for an amount of time. Like so you just can't use those things for that amount of time. Like they're out. So you might have to hire new people, buy more mechs, all while managing your debt. You take contracts, and it takes time. Like it might take 2 weeks to get to wherever your contract is, so that might eat up. But like people could be out for months, so it's like management in that sense. And then when you're in combat, it's all turn based. You've got things like jump jets, hunkering down. There's facings. There's you have like the miniature game. You have like all the different parts. Arms, legs, right, left torso, middle, center torso, the head, the rear facing stuff, which has less armor, and so you got to manage all that. And then you have multiple weapons, whereas XCOM, it's like you only get one weapon, and it shows your percentages. You also have to manage your heat because you can overheat, so you can turn off individual weapons.
This is like my it's just like a mechanical dream come true. So many little things to do. Yay!
And then it's a lot. There's a lot more like I don't know, like minutia, but like not in a bad way. I mean, unless you just don't want to deal with that, right? Then it's just
then obviously it's not fun for you though.
And then once you get like as you make more and more money, it's nicer to like as you have more and more mechs that you could just have there for certain areas, because there's certain planets, like hot planets, you don't want to take energy weapons because energy weapons make more heat, and being on a desert type planet, you're going to generate even more heat. But if you're on a snowy planet, bring all the energy weapons because they don't take ammo, because if your ammo gets hit, it can explode.
Oh yeah, I remember that actually. I never got that because technically it doesn't fully make sense. It's
ballistic ammo.
Okay.
It's for ballistic weapons. They just have like a box of a couple tons of ballistic ammo that it blows
I was like, I don't understand why all of your bullets suddenly explode like they're like they're grenades or something. But okay, you're talking ballistics.
Yeah, they're
those will probably
weapons.
explode.
They're not like 9mm gun bullets or whatever. There's the 3 types of weapon are ballistic, energy, and then there's also missiles, which are moderate heat. They're in between the energy weapons and ballistics. They have ammo, so they can also be blown up. But if you have like a spotter, anyone that can see, as long as someone on your team can see a enemy, you can always shoot missiles at them.
That's pretty fucking awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
You've got your mech warriors have stats. There's 4: gunnery for range, guts for melee. Piloting is for like evasion or something. I can't remember. Like because there are a few abilities along as you level those up too. And then there's what's the 4th one? I can't remember. I know its first ability involves sensor locks, which I love because it makes them easier to hit. I like having a lighter mech out front for sensor locking, and then PPC snipers because PPCs do a lot of damage.
I only played the this game. It sounds so fun. I only played I think it was a MechWarrior Online for a little bit, but I just remember.
Yeah, so they use all of the models from that game in this game.
Really?
Yeah. Which people are like, or think consider the best part about that game is the models
cool.
they made.
That's pretty cool, actually.
The designs look nice because some of the old BattleTech stuff did not age well.
No.
Yeah, if you do a good old fashioned Google search, you can see how some stuff might need a little updating.
I love my big stompy mechs, but go look at an old fashioned Jenner and yeah.
Actually, honestly, the picture that will be used up here momentarily, the mech that has the 2 pods and the 2 laser arms with the cylindrical cone, that is actually my favorite model from BattleTech. And that was the one that I actually used in Mech Warrior Online, or at least the one that was akin to it anyway. I just really like that one.
Which one was it?
The one on your the one that you linked in the Discord right here. It's the one with the multi pods and the 2 lasers with the cylindrical face and
The one on the left side.
Yeah,
Is
the
that
one
a
on the left side.
catapult or a mad cat or something?
That's a mad cat and a vulture, also known as a dire wolf and a mad dog.
Yeah.
See,
Those are my
I
two.
like
Those
that.
are see the sad thing is those are both clanner mechs. Those are my 2 favorite mechs in all of BattleTech, and they're clanners, and so that means they're not in this game, and
Yes.
that makes me sad.
Well, does
Well-
that mean that this mech is not going to be in the game?
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's all inner sphere.
I don't know what any of it means.
I believe the clan stuff is considered one of the turning points of
Yeah.
not of the IP dying.
Really?
Well, I know from a technical balancing standpoint in the miniatures games, clan wars are just superior in every way.
Well, they were for a while, and then Inner Sphere got their legs, and then Dark War happened, and Dark War is when I know that a lot of people started saying the series started dying. Or Dark Age, excuse me, not Dark War,
Yeah.
Dark Age.
Ironic that the Dark Age is when they started to die. Good God, what is that?
It's the old school Jenner.
God. That oof. There's a lot of things wrong with that. So question for you. I got a question about this because I've been reading up a little bit on the game for a Mao. During it, I don't know if you answered it. Maybe I missed it. But during the game, like when you're taking on missions, I made mention that you can choose kind of between either trying to set a high price to be paid for, or you can attempt to lower that price to get like first dibs on salvage rights for stuff.
Yeah, so missions can be randomly generated alongside the story missions, like conditions, the enemies you'll fight, the terrain, and then there's a price. It can be like there's a price range and then a salvage range, because you need to manage your equipment and whatnot. And another part about you also need to manage you can just also there's reputation. You can is a third one where if you lower both of the previous 2, you end up with a reputation bonus, because reputation can factor in the how you're received for your better contracts, better prices at shops. But salvage is you get it'll be like a 2 and 6 or something, or like a 4 and depending on the mission, like a 4 and 10 or something. The first number, the smaller number, is stuff you get to first dibs on.
Okay.
And then the second number is randomly given to you.
Okay. So does this mean that like then you really kind of have to salvage? You can't go and buy parts?
You can.
Okay.
But you can also salvage, and you can also salvage mechs. So you might not want to completely destroy your enemy's mech, because you can then salvage it and they can be worth a lot of money.
That's really cool.
Yeah. You can do called shots, which anytime you knock someone over, you can called shot them, or you get a free called shot, or you can spin morale, because there is a small morale gauge, basically. Like once it gets over a certain point, you just kind of get a free buff on everyone to hit, and then there are a few abilities that let you spend it. Not a ton necessarily, but one of those is just making a called shot.
Huh.
Like like destroying the legs, I think is both legs is a pretty good way of like taking someone out of a fight. The head is also really good, but there's only like a 2% chance of hitting the head, like base. But it instantly kills the pilot. So, which some people, I have been blessed enough not to have it happen, but some people just randomly get critted in the head basically and lose one of their mech warriors.
Oh, that sucks.
Rip.
Yeah, but you can also eject people, like not in that case, but like if the If things start getting too tough, you can eject mech warriors. You might have to scrap the mech or leave it behind, but sometimes someone with a very experienced warrior is worth more than the mech to you. Also, you can back out of a mission and you take a big hit unless you've killed someone. As long as you've like killed someone, you can back out with like no penalty to your reputation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like as long as you've basically made an effort. And then like sometimes you can like if the mission was to escort some people, once you've completed that, you can like clean up the rest of the people, giving you more salvage. Or if you're hurt, you can just get to the escort zone yourself and leave. Like so there's some different ways to go about that as well.
Okay. That's actually pretty cool.
I've been enjoying the game a lot. I like the story. The score is really pretty, and it doesn't have CGI cut screens. It's mostly like stills. Like they kind of I really dig the art style because they're like the hand painted look effects. But they also animate those in a way. Like I don't know if you've ever seen like people animate magic cards art or something like that. They kind of do it that way.
Okay.
The voice acting is not great.
There had to be something wrong with it.
Yeah. Also,
oh no.
I mean, as far as the bigger negatives, they have had some issues with certain people's hardware. Like some people just have awful like loading times or crashes. That is their top priority to fix right now. Because they've already released the post-launch roadmap, and number one is making sure they can fix the critical issues. Obviously,
yeah, that makes sense. It I mean, obviously, you want people to be able to play the game, and if it's got problems with your hardware.
Hopefully they'll be able to figure it fast because the beta didn't have this issue. It's something in the release build. So
really,
yeah, unfortunately,
that's a weird bug.
And then they also plan, after the critical, they've got a general bug fix later in May, and then they're going to be localizing it to French, German, and Russia, and Linux support, which is ETA is unknown. And then their first actual like update with content will be June or July, and it's all about customization and player options.
Oh, sweet.
They're going to give.
Quick question here. Is there any part in that timeline? Is this game even multiplayer in any shape or form?
Multiplayer has already in. I have not done any. But yes, you can fight your lance against other people's lances of mechs.
Is there co-op?
I don't know if there's co-op. I don't think so.
I
know there's multiplayer because that was in the beta as well.
I don't know if like they were gonna do that or not, but it'd be really cool to play this game where you all like you and like you and three buddies could play with each other using one of each mech, and you kind of have your mech and you're doing the mission together. That would be really cool.
I believe because aren't they coming out with a true full blown Mech Warrior game sometime like I think Q4?
Yeah, there's
that one should be actually multiplayer, but not this.
It looks like it's on their post-launch. The post-launch live team would like to develop or would like to implement co-op.
Oh, that's really cool. See, that would be really fun because the idea of being able to play with buddies on these kind of games would just be really fun.
Yeah. Their first content is they want to accelerate combat. Options to just accelerate combat because some people think it takes too long, I guess. it can be fiddly. I don't know if that means they're like just gonna I don't know how they would go about that, but
I think they
tweak
stated
certain options, I guess.
They might want to just reduce the time you spend in a mission because I've heard that like, and I don't know if this is true or not. You'll probably know better, but like generally on average missions can take like 45 minutes to go through. I don't know if that's true or not. Okay, so that sounds about right.
Maybe I don't know. My sense of time is not great.
Okay,
it all kind of blurs together.
I have to look at a calendar to figure out if I'm on Tuesday or Friday.
They also want to implement more Mech Warrior customization to give more appearance changes, call signs, your name.
Cool.
Sorry, for your individual Mech Warriors, not just yourself. You get to customize yourself, but you just when you like hire people, it's just who you get. But it looks like they're going to be implementing. You're going to be able to customize those people too.
Oh, cool.
Granular difficulty settings. because I don't believe there's difficulty setting of any kind. And another one of their things is that there are some peaks and valleys in the game that they want to smooth out as well.
Like, are we talking Final Fantasy Tactics peaks, or are we talking like give me a like, what are they?
Just, I mean, yeah, I don't think the valleys people have really complained about, but there are some parts where like the difficulty, like you can just, I think reinforcements can be kind of random. So sometimes you can just get waves and waves of assault mechs, which can be difficult, though is I guess lucrative if you manage to take them down. Because assault mechs are pretty big guys.
Aren't they like isn't assault like either
75 to 100 tons?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're one of the biggest, if not the biggest.
They are the biggest in the game.
Okay,
it's light, medium, heavy, and assault, and it looks like there are.
So you get like a wave of and waves of assault mechs just coming in. That sounds fucking cheap. I mean, there's just a point where when you've got 13 behemoths walking at you, you got to decide that maybe this isn't a fight you want to pick.
Looks like there's a little under 40 mechs in the game.
Oh wow, that's a lot of mechs.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, and then an option to skip the tutorial, and then and then some mech labs /store/salvage quality of life improvements with the UI, which I haven't really noticed myself. But and then I guess audio. They want to make it so that audio doesn't keep going when you tab off of it for streaming while you're streaming the game. It's also listed there.
Very cool. Randomly.
But yeah, I quite enjoy the game. I mean, I'm not even huge into the BattleTech universe, but I do like turn-based combat, games like this. And I mean, I am a fan of mechs.
Yeah.
It's like peanut butter and chocolate.
I kind of want. Yeah.
Also, apparently, it was originally Battle Droids, but they had to change the name because of LucasArts made them because they own droids.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I am glad they made that change.
Yeah, I'm glad they made that change too. Battle Droids would be a very weird name.
That they got into in their early years is actually interesting now that I think about it.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot of good reviews too, like a lot of 8s, 9s, and even some 10s, I guess.
Metacritic has it as a 78. So
yeah.
That's not bad. I mean, I've been looking for a tactics game for a while now. I might pick this up. I mean, it's got mechs.
It's $40, and you could probably find it on sale.
There you go. It's not even full price.
It's not even full price.
Yeah, I think I saw someone was mentioning there's a extension on Chrome that you can install and make a wish list, and the extension will tell you the cheapest you can find that game on. Someone was like, it's $31 on this site.
The full price crap is why I'm not getting Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze tomorrow. Nintendo charged me $60 for this game. I don't care if everyone says it is the greatest platformer of all time. I will buy that shit used or on sale. When it never goes
Somebody's
on sale.
losing some of his Nintendo fanboy points this episode.
I know, right? Who would have thought? Never would have suspected it for me. And I'm not being facetious. All right, we are on my topic, and we're recording the next day. So, welcome to the first episode of Podcast of Five Rings, recorded over 2 days. Tets is gone. Meta has seen Infinity War now. So we are going to talk about Infinity War for the last topic today. So, obviously up front, if you have not seen Infinity War yet and you do not want to get spoiled, leave now. This is your warning. You cannot talk about the movie without spoilers.
You literally can't.
Just gets going.
Yeah, and we are now in spoilers. You've been
this
warned.
movie.
Loki died. Loki died in like the first 5 minutes. It made me sad.
This movie didn't hit the ground running. This movie was in a land speeder from the start.
Yeah. It picks up right where the post-credit scene of Thor Ragnarok leaves off.
Pretty much. Yeah, so Thanos shows up on Thor's ship and basically wrecks face.
Oh yeah.
He already has one of the Power Stone. He has the Power Stone already.
From
Power
Xandar.
Stone gets the Space Stone. Pretty much murders everybody.
Yeah. So we don't need to introduce the movie or the director or anything like. I mean, you know what Infinity War is. It's 10 years of Marvel movies have been leading up to this. We've talked about it on the podcast. So
I want more movies where the villain wins.
Yeah, that's like the best part of the movie. And
that really is.
I mean, it's Thanos' movie. He's definitely the focus of the movie.
Oh, he's so good. He is. I felt he was a wonderful villain for this movie. It was. Yeah. I just enjoyed when he showed up, when he did stuff, when he said things. It was great. Everything about it was just
Josh Brolin
fun.
Was great as him, and he got hit with that pathos, man. You understood kind of where he was coming from a little bit, and felt for all the stuff he had to do to accomplish his goal. Now he's still a psychopath and doesn't care about like murdering people,
right?
And all that
stuff.
Or
I mean, just creating double the resources.
Yeah, with the Infinity.
That was actually
I saw people talking about that.
Yes. Yeah, like why not just make like double of everything?
Make all the plants just grow like twice the size and just make the physics work somehow.
Plus, he only like. He killed half the people, which is exactly how I knew this. Like, I just went into this movie expecting that to happen, because even they reference the snap from the comic books in the trailer, and it's like, well, that's definitely happening.
Yeah.
But people will keep reproducing. Like,
we'll just get back here eventually, Thanos. You're just delaying the inevitable. You're not solving anything. You're just putting a Band-Aid on it.
There's no way to really solve the problem, but I think the idea was that like killing off half the universe essentially would essentially like prolong everything by an infinite scope of time, I suppose. I don't know. It's really hard to justify like why not just double the resources of everything. So
it's because he's and if they tied into the comic, then it will make more sense. If they work the death angle in, but I don't think they're going to necessarily.
They had the perfect opportunity, and they did not.
In the comic, for those who don't know, Thanos doesn't just want to he doesn't really care about resource management or like overpopulation or anything like that. He's in love with death.
Of course, it's comics, and so there's an actual representation of death.
Yeah,
Death Sama, notice me.
The Grim Reaper senpai, basically.
Pretty much.
He's in love with basically the Grim Reaper.
Who's in love with
Deadpool, basically.
Yeah.
So Thanos curses him with never being able to die at one point in the comics.
So he wants to impress Death in the comics. So they could work it back in, but I don't know if they will, because just like Mao said, I think there was like opportunity to hint at it more or like do stuff with it in this movie, and they just didn't. So I'm not convinced that they will.
I think one of my favorite movies in this movie is when he has to go get the Soul Stone, and I like the fact that the Soul Stone actually had a sense of a self-awareness, a trial attached to it.
Oh yeah, and it was the climax of the movie, because that's where Thanos has to make his big decision if he's going to kill Gamora or not, and she obviously knows. That's why she wants Peter to kill her if he's going to be captured. I think she like kind of like she doesn't want to believe it, but she knows like that.
Well, she knew where it was, is why.
Okay, I thought it was implying that. She knew how.
No,
she knew where she had the map. Or had seen the map.
Okay.
Yep.
Then ignore me.
I don't understand. Like, she could have doubled down on that lie too, because you were like, he's like, I destroyed the map, and he's like, well, yeah, I destroyed the map. I didn't look at it. You could have just doubled down on the lie. He's like, I'm sorry, but like, I literally don't know. I destroyed the map. I didn't even look at it.
He probably would have kept torturing Nebula, but she was already she was basically already at the breaking point for that.
Can I say something real fast? You know how many times he could have been stopped if you had just let him kill or torture the one person?
Yeah,
instead of like giving in. Loki, if he had just let Thor die, would have stopped him from being able to do it. If Gamora had let her sister die, she would have been able to stop him from doing it. I mean, there's a lot of times where I'm not saying Samurai Rokugan duty might have prevented a lot of deaths.
It's all about Cap's line. You can't trade one life.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
That was
exactly.
obviously the hero's mentality.
Yeah, the hero's mentality. But you're absolutely right though. That is actually where it comes in. You can't trade one life for a million. It's not right. It's not fair. It's not just.
Yeah, we didn't get much Cap in this movie, which I was fine with as much as I like
fine.
Cap. It did feel like a natural.
I mean, there was so many people they had to work in.
Exactly.
And they still didn't get them all.
Exactly.
Where's Hawkeye?
Hawkeye,
He-
I
he
think
doing-
Hawkeye and Ant-Man, I think they actually had like
They,
one
yeah,
line
they,
explained.
they're
They
They're
said they're on
witness
house
protection
arrest,
or whatever.
basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Mal was saying, we got basically like the natural progression of Thor Ragnarok. So Thor keeps getting his arc, he keeps going. We get some nice more Thor stuff, which I like because Thor's probably my favorite Marvel hero.
He's come a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved Thor 1 also.
I mean, I did too, but
Thor 2 was
Thor
not
2
good,
sucks.
but
I mean, I've always liked the character of Thor.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it was, yeah, it was very much like Thor was one of the big players who got lots of development. Tony got some. Gamora, obviously, and of course, like Mal said earlier again, it was Thanos' movie for sure.
Oh yeah.
Even the end credits say Thanos will return in Avengers 4, just to let you know if you were speculating at all. It's his movie.
Wait, is Avengers 4 going to be the sequel, or is it just? I thought it was Avengers: Infinity War Part 2.
No, they
don't have a title
They ripped
yet.
that line along. They ripped that title off of that a while ago. They basically started distancing the two apart from each other.
It originally
they-
was
they
going to be
didn't-
part 1 and part 2.
Yeah,
but
I
they
think at
changed it.
some point they probably changed the story around. I mean, they're still obviously going to be tied to each other, but I think they may have been even more direct sequel, or like a one story in 2 movies type thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I think the next one's obviously going to be like reversing what happened is going to be
Yes.
the big focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we need to talk about that next. All the people who got turned into ash and dust, zooped out, because Thanos does get all the
basically
stones, and he
They
does
basically
snap his
killed
fingers.
everyone that people thought were safe.
Yeah, some people have upcoming movies.
Right. They're like, no way they kill all these new people. It'll be all the old people that die.
Spider-Man's gone,
Wrong.
Black Panther's gone, half of the Guardians are gone.
Can I
Most
say-
of them, actually.
The one that was probably the most fucked up for somebody to see is the Black Panther one, by the way, because he goes over to help him and help her, and as he's doing it, he just disappears.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was the most fucked up one. The
Well,
strength.
I thought Peter's was.
Yeah. I mean,
Peter's is the most sad one.
I think Spider-Man's is. Or wait, well, I
That's
guess,
what I'm
sorry,
talking.
which
Peter Parker.
Oh, okay.
Peter.
Sorry, you mentioned Quill yesterday.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, Peter Parker is definitely the one. Like, he gets the most screen time, which people are like, he probably could sense it coming because of Spider Sense, which just makes it worse.
Yeah, that's
Oh
what
yeah.
Mal and I were talking about yesterday. He's like, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. He's like, it's probably
Right.
Spider Sense.
Yeah, I definitely would say, like I said, I'm gonna stand by that. Peter Parker was the saddest death.
Yeah.
Black Panther was like the most screwed up mentality to see.
I don't
The
know.
most-
I mean, Bucky's for Steve seeing Bucky go is probably awful.
Yeah.
Considering all the work he's done for Bucky, like to get
To
Bucky,
protect him.
like protect him and like save
I guess
him
that's
from
true. I
themselves.
guess
stick up
I
for
guess
him.
And
I
he
guess,
just
like,
watches
for-
Bucky dissolve.
I think it's for me is the fact that like Bucky's like Steve, and he kind of like stares at him, and then he just vaporizes as he's walking forward, and that's really rough on him. But I guess like what it means like for me why like the Black Panther one was like the most screwed up one was because Black Panther wasn't like saying Steve and then just kind of staring wide eyed as he faded out. Black Panther was like, here, let me help you up, and it's starting to help this person up, and then goes just disappears. That's why it's the most screwed up for me, because I'm like, gosh damn it, he's helping somebody, and then it's like, that'd be so fucked up. But he's like, oh, thanks, man, I appreciate it. Oh my god! As he just like fades out in front of you. I'm just like, Jesus.
I wonder if they would have done that if they knew Black Panther was going to be such a success.
I don't know.
It's something else Mal and I
probably
were talking about yesterday.
Probably.
I think
I mean, like,
I think
Doctor
this was. I
Strange
think it
got
all.
figured out,
Yeah,
too.
it all still would have come out the same way because there's no way all of these people stay dead.
Yeah.
There's not. You can't make more money off of them if they stay dead.
Yeah.
Right, obviously.
It's
but
more who
all
do-
of the people that stayed alive are basically the people who kind of want to get out, and this sets up one nice last hurrah for the old timers.
Yeah. So I was predicting that I think Cap dies in the next movie for good, and Tony retires.
I probably one of them
either
should die.
or.
Yeah.
It'll be something like that, probably.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to Penny though to kill off Tony.
Yeah, that's true. And I think Steve's arc is basically he like his whole everything about him screams like sacrificing himself.
Exactly.
I think
Though it would be more of a gut punch, and I do like my gut punches. That Tony would die also.
I think it just feels right for Tony not to die and for Steve to make that fall and to point out that, like, again, he did what he did because it was his choice to sacrifice his life for other people. And again, he will make it. It's his choice, but it's never because choosing to kill one person over a million. It's the hero's choice to sacrifice himself for the greater good.
Yeah, it's always been played up that that's totally what he'd do. That's why I'm saying it would be like a satisfying switch. It would be probably if he didn't. If that just no, that doesn't happen because it's ever since he jumped on the dummy grenade. It's been set up that he's the one who's willing to die for everyone else.
Yeah, they could revert it and have it, him stay alive and Tony die, because Tony's basically taken...
Tony has the death flags. He was like, I'm thinking about us having a family now and stuff, and you're like, okay, death flags.
I'm like, Tony, don't ever say I want to have a family. The first only thing you should say is like, well, it's pretty rocky. Maybe we should see other people. That's how you know. Thank God, he's going the opposite direction. He's safe.
But yeah, I mean, Tony was set up he's his journey has kind of been from selfish to less selfish, obviously. So I could even see him ending with him Well, I mean, although he already has he was willing to sacrifice himself in Avengers 1, so already kind of got that scene as well.
Yeah.
I think there's enough to. I mean, it's possible for either or.
I think they could go either way.
And they could just kill both of them.
I mean, it's like, joke's on you, we're going to kill two today.
Everyone sad.
Probably a lot of them will die, I would expect. I could see basically everyone who lived could easily just end up leaving the...
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Leaving the franchise for reasons or another.
Yeah, I think at least Cap, Tony, and Thor will leave the franchise. As far as the team up movies go, we could get another Thor movie. I don't think we'll get another Iron Man movie. Yeah. We won't get another Captain America movie with Steve Rogers as Captain America.
I don't know if there's really left anything for Thor though. I mean,
he's lost everything.
Yeah, he's lost everything. There's nobody he's connected to.
Though, I mean, there were characters that from Thor. Basically, all the characters from Thor Ragnarok were conspicuously missing from the whole start of the movie.
I want to know what happened to Sif, damn it.
Hey, man, we're going to have a revolution. You want to join us? That's cool.
He just shows up and helps the Guardians every once in a while or something.
Who?
Thor.
I do. Oh. I did enjoy that the Guardians show up.
Robots.
Yeah, you're roboting.
No.
Just log in and log out. Mount and I'll keep going. Well, that sounds like you're fixed now, maybe. Nah, there he's gone. Talk again, Meta. Now I can't hear you at all.
Yeah, now he's gone forever.
No. Okay, there he is. Okay, yeah, you sound fine again.
Sweet.
All right. What were we saying? Oh, yeah, just the people. Yeah, Thor. I don't know if he'll... I know he was pretty much done with Thor before Thor Ragnarok, and after that he said he would be on board for more, so
yeah, that's why I was
going either way.
That was where I was coming from, basically, because he's like, as long as I get to do more movies like Thor Ragnarok, I wouldn't mind keeping to play Thor, but if I have to do another Thor Dark World, then I'm out.
You think Heimdall and Loki are toast, dead forever?
Yes.
Yeah. Loki, it's unfortunate because I always thought to myself, you'd think Loki would have 13 more backup plans because he's the fucking god of mischief. But when they killed him off, when I saw him doing what he was doing in the beginning, I was like, they're gonna kill him off.
He's gone.
He's gone. For good.
I think a lot of people thought he would die going in just because he had the Tesseract.
That was the one death Lily was very upset by. He was like, did they just kill my favorite character? And she looks over at me.
All the girls love Loki.
And she looks at me. He's like, they did not just kill him. They didn't kill him. Do you think they killed him? I'm like, I looked over to her, dead in her eyes, and I was like, he is dead.
He got strangled.
I'm not sold on it yet, him being dead permanently.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Because they are being a bit on the nose. Like, I think he's actually. I've seen my brother die once before.
Yeah.
He's probably actually dead this time.
Thanos says no more revivals this time.
Yeah.
No, or something. How did you guys feel about the Black Order or Thanos' children?
I actually like them as
I actually
mini-bosses.
enjoyed them. I liked them.
Yeah, Ebony Maw was pretty dope.
The Squidward was the best one.
Squidward was
that's Ebony Maw.
His hubris was perfect.
It was perfect. I was like, do you think it could be me? No, but the kid's seen more movies than you have.
Yeah.
Shoots the missile, flies out. I was like, ah!
You've seen Aliens.
No
That
more
was
pop
so
culture references. For you.
Yeah. No more pop culture references out of you.
I love that Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
I think one of my favorite interactions had to be Spider-Man and Quill.
Oh yeah.
That was
Is
some of the
Footloose
best-
still the greatest movie of all time?
It was never the
was.
greatest movie.
No, it never was. Kevin
There's
Bacon.
just so many. There's just so many interactions that are great, and like a lot of based off of inside jokes, which is, I mean, it's interesting that they didn't do any setting up. Like, to get the most out of this movie, you definitely had to see at least a large portion of the previous ones. Like with
Yeah.
what's his name? Rocket and Bucky. He's just like,
Yeah.
I'm getting that arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Guardians 1 reference.
Want to trade guns?
Getting that
I'm not-
leg.
No, I was like, he's wanted to trade the guns. He's like, I'm not giving you the gun. And he's like, well, what about the arm? And he just walks away. I'm getting that arm.
But yeah,
I think Guardians was probably one you needed to see going in. Thor Ragnarok was probably one you needed to see going in.
Yeah,
A few others.
definitely.
I did like the fact that the Mantis girl actually did some heavy lifting in it. Even
Yeah,
though
she got
didn't
some
really have a
scenes.
fight.
Everybody got some
Yeah.
scenes where they got to do some stuff.
No, I mean I don't mean just doing stuff like where she actually was pretty pivotal to trying to put
yeah.
Thanos
Right.
down. Well, again, I don't understand. Like, I know, like, the whole idea is that, like, you know, Doctor Strange saw like all the outcomes that they needed to win and whatnot, and then, but like, again, I don't understand. Like, and this is where, like, I don't get something. If they almost had the gauntlet off, the one thing that they needed to do to stop him, why did he need to get out of it to win? Like, it just, some of it, it gets to the point where, like, he's like, well, we had to do this. I had to give him the time stone so that we could truly beat him in the real end game. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, why?
I mean, it might have to do with, like, you see how basically, I mean, when it happens, the snap, he has an axe to the chest, and the gauntlet's been pretty heavily damaged. If you notice, like, it looked like it
Yeah.
practically blew up.
It's effed
There
up.
might be something in that plays into it. And I mean, obviously, like, Tony must also be pretty crucial to it.
I think Nebula. I think they'll keep it somewhat close to the comics. And have Nebula be a pretty big part of it too.
Mm.
It was so good. I really enjoyed
Yeah. So what's everyone's favorite part of the movie?
everybody dying. I enjoyed the crap out of that.
I did like that. Also. I liked the Thor scene where he forges the blade and then like shows up on the battlefield when the Bifrost opens and he gets to Earth.
Yeah.
And he just
Yeah.
axes everybody and like thunderbolts like all the mooks. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, Thor's my man. It's like my favorite.
They
That was my
definitely
favorite
made Thor
part.
just like
I
the strongest.
I just
person
wanted
they-
to start playing Immigrant
movie
Song
universe.
right there because it's basically his theme song now.
Yeah, that would have
Might
been
as well
good.
be.
It was
But-
really good.
The licensing per movie's like, you know,
You know what? Actually,
hundreds of millions or something.
one scene I will say that was really cool, hands down, was when he tossed the Stormbreaker right at the Infinity Gauntlet, and even though it has all 5 gems in it and he's firing off, it doesn't
6 gems.
stop. Oh, 6 gems. I'm sorry. Yeah, all 6 gems firing off. It still doesn't stop the axe. I actually enjoyed the crap. I was like, holy crap! Something that could
Yeah.
stand against it. It's great.
Rainbow power
It
versus
was-
rainbow
it was,
power.
It was designed to kill Thanos.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, Thor's really powerful. I mean, he's really powerful in the comics too, especially with the Odin Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what my favorite part was.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it might be Tony and Spider-Man taking care of Maw.
Yeah, that was also just
Also
fun
the
scene.
Naruto fight
Oh yeah,
with
versus-
Strange and Thanos. That was really cool.
Shadow clone
Oh,
jutsu.
I really wish there'd been more Doctor Strange fighting because some of the stuff
Yeah.
that he can do is
Getting
just
to see
it's
Strange
so fun.
finally go nuts is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. When to see him go wild and be able to like just use all the stuff that he's got. Oh, it was so satisfying
Yeah.
because he uses magic, which they call the Mystic Force, but I'm calling it magic.
I mean, Spider-Man called it magic.
Yeah. So I mean, like, but he
Magic,
essentially can do
magic,
whatever the fuck he
magic,
want with
as
it.
he
So it's
went through the
great.
portals.
Magic punch, magic kick.
You're embarrassing me in front of the wizards. Yeah.
God.
I actually like that Hulk was scared of Thanos too. He's like,
Yeah,
"No,
that's
I'm
interesting.
good." They just right off the bat have him beat the shit out of the Hulk, and the Hulk's like, "No, I'm scared. I'm not coming out."
When they had the trailer that showed the Hulkbuster, I saw a lot of people calling that it was like Banner inside it, but everyone thought that they were gonna start attacking the Hulkbuster, and then eventually the Hulk was gonna rip out when they thought they had it down. That
Yeah.
never happened.
Nope.
Interesting to see that the Hulk is actually scared or something.
It's
Just
kind
got
of
his
weird to
pride
think the
hurt.
Hulk is
Mhm.
scared. I think it's just it's his pride. I don't know if he's
Yeah,
so much
'cause Thanos
scared.
just stomped him.
Oh yeah, kicked his ass.
Yeah, and like
Hulk was
30
like, Hulk
seconds,
don't understand why he not dead.
he just punched the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in Ragnarok, you just see. I mean, they show like the Hulk is somewhat vulnerable with the Fenrir fight because he bites into him and he
true.
starts bleeding,
That's
and
true.
then you get to see just Thanos curb stomp him basically.
It's a hard thing to walk away from.
Yeah, we have a Hulk. Lots of good references. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's the Final Fantasy IX of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's got all the references. It's better if you've seen all the old movies because they just lend up to here and set this
Yeah.
movie up.
It's
lift
just
it up.
God. There's just no other movie that exists like this
Yeah.
one.
I was worried
Really.
it was going to feel super bloated with all the characters.
I know.
and-
I could have watched so much more of this movie.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I was like when the movie ended, I was like,
Yeah.
ah.
When the
There's
movie
so
ended,
many
I just
interactions
wanted
that
more.
Still didn't that
good.
just didn't happen.
Yeah, there were still some we did not get. We didn't get to see more Cap and Spider-Man, which I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of too.
Yeah, I really liked the Iron Spider suit. Other than I didn't love the color scheme, but otherwise it was pretty dope. I love the fact that it had the spider legs,
Legs, yeah.
from the comics. Although in the comics they don't do much.
Yeah.
So yeah, where do we think this sits on our Marvel tier?
It's
Or
my
like-
new favorite right
Yeah,
now.
Mine
it
Like,
is.
there's
my
just-
favorite. It's
it
my
doesn't
favorite too.
it's just the scope is just ridiculous, and I love it.
I think for me, it's tough. I think it's
Like,
in my
I
top
mean-
3, but it's right there with Guardians 1, this, and Winter Soldier, like my favorite Marvel movies probably.
Like it might change in months down the road, but right now it's just so amazing.
It's so good. I mean,
Yeah.
I might have to see it again just to really
It's worth it.
critique
I've
it
seen
and
it
go for
twice.
the ride. But I mean, I'm gonna say I gotta agree. This is definitely my effectively favorite.
Yeah, it's really good. Yep. So there you have it.
I thought it was interesting that they only had one post-credit scene at this point.
Oh,
where
yeah,
they've
yeah,
had
for sure.
So many.
I
what
felt
else
those
can they
were
really set
appropriate.
up other than what we're going to get in between then?
I was
I figured
surprised-
it was
I
going to
was-
be something with Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
I was really surprised that they actually killed off both of them though, both the assistant and Nick Fury.
Yeah.
I thought the assistant was going to go and Nick Fury was
Motherfuck-
going to be left. Yeah.
I am so excited for Captain Marvel though. I love Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I don't know enough about her to be super excited for it, but I just more want to see how she fits in and how she will
I'm curious
Get worked
to
into the
see
sequel.
I'm curious. Yeah, everything. There's a lot of theories I've seen about what is
Yeah.
going on. with
And
movie,
I
'cause
like the
fact that the
Skrulls, too.
prequel. Yeah, well, the prequel's in 95-ish or something. It's
Yeah.
in the past. I've seen some of the shots with a young Samuel L. Jackson, or him looking like a young Nick Fury. He's got both of his eyes. So, and then there's the line about last time he trusted someone, he lost his eye or whatever. So
Maybe
probably
it's
gonna
Captain
see
Marvel.
that.
Yeah.
What's it? Coulson's back.
Coulson.
Whatchamacallum, the Kree dude from Guardians 1's going to be in it, Ronan.
Is he really?
Yeah, because it's Kree versus Skrull War.
Okay.
The setting, I believe. Because she gets her powers from a Kree. Her DNA gets all weird and mixed up with Marvel is his name. And then he eventually becomes Captain Marvel and she's Mrs. Marvel.
Gotcha.
And then eventually he dies and she becomes Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Yep. So there we go.
Yeah.
That's Infinity War. If you like the Marvel movies, you've probably seen it. I can't recommend it enough. It's really good. I don't know how they pulled it off.
Like I said, I like the fact that a lot of heroes died in this one. It really put a sense of a weight, and it really kind of let the villain stand out because he won. It was really nice.
Yeah. I mean, none of the deaths are basically none of the deaths are set in stone yet.
No,
I'm curious to see where it all shakes out in the
Yeah.
next one.
Who comes back?
How many they actually leave dead.
Yep.
Because
exactly.
I know the Kevin Feige or whatever, said that they probably won't do, like, they're not going to resurrect people later on. Like, I think this, like, after whatever, who's ever dead at the end of 4 is probably dead forever.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
This
Oh,
is...
speaking of, wait.
Go ahead, say.
Yeah, there is something I wanted to state. I said I forgot to mention this during.
We talked about this.
The original talk about. Yeah, the lethality. There was one thing I forgot to mention about this, and the movie actually reminded me, and I was like, "Son of a bitch!" I forgot to say something really important about it. I know we talked about the lethality, and we talked about lethality in games and whatnot. And there was, I said, like, like I don't like it super lethal, but I kind of like it lethal. There is one exception to this. I want to state, in a very rare exception, there is a sense of, and it's, I really don't know the word for it, but I'm going to just go with the feeling that I find in it. A sense of a romantic notion to know that in a really, really lethal game, you are under the impression that your death can come from just about anything. And while it may not be as fun, it does give you a bit more appreciation for what your character does, because they know themselves that they couldn't, they may not be able to come back to the tavern the next day. They may not be able to have that talk with their friend tomorrow. They may not be able to have that awesome pie that they were looking forward to for tonight. And when it's put into that context, a really lethal game is a bit romantic. And I wanted to say that's the only exception to myself where I then enjoy a really lethal game. And I wanted to bring that out there because I do think that is something that should be thought about for any role player, is to always remember that your character can die in a game, and that when you're role playing them, they should be aware of this fact. Unless, of course, you're role playing that they aren't,
because they're demigods or something.
Yes, or something. I guess
it's always good when it has an impact, and the deaths in this movie were very impactful.
Deaths in this movie definitely had an impact, if not for the watcher, definitely for the character.
Yeah, just because we've been with them for so long, for many of the characters.
Yep.
And I mean, in some cases, it's felt like a long time.
They're also using death, like they're impactful deaths that you also probably know aren't going to last.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're still like, wow, in the moment.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yep. All
right. This has been episode 51 of Podcast of Five Rings. Your source of their own video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and Talk About Topic day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Catch us on Twitter, Podcast 5R, Facebook, P5R Podcast, and then we're streaming twitch.tv/PSO Flow. We'll stream again sometime, someday on the...
someday.
I believe you.
Yeah, so we'll get to another... at the very least, we'll get to another Nuzlocke.
Yeah.
At some point. I've got some ideas that we'll talk about Sunday, too, that I was thinking about today earlier. So, but we're on twitch.tv/podcast of 5 or podcast of 5 rings. My bad. So, All right, until next time, we're recording monthly modules this weekend. It will be Mecha vs. Kaiju Part 2, because people seem to enjoy that one that we played, and I had fun playing it. So I love having my mechs and killing the Kaijus and stuff. So we'll get more of that. So look forward to that, and we will be back next week talking about Infinity War again.